Uisge Mhath! Uisge Mhath! Uisge Mhath! Uisge Mhath! Uisge Mhath!
These are the washbacks, 6 washbacks we've got, and if you look down at that bottom floor, you'll see these steel pipes there. See them? That is the depth of these washbacks. Each washback holds 21,000 litres. That's what they hold. And when we're over here producing spirit, they're all in use. And all we do is we transfer that liquid up, as I said, from the underback into here, and we add distiller's yeast. And the minute that we add the yeast, the fermentation takes place. It just starts to ferment. And we've got to have these lids down, or it would come right over the top. It ferments that much. But eventually, it settles down in there, and once it settles down and you look in, it's like looking at hot milky tea. That's what it's like. It's hot milky tea. This is also the stamp of it becoming alcohol. Because when it's lying in here, it's somewhere between 4 and 7%. That's all it is, just like a very mild beer. Now this is the next bit, because once we have the wash in the wash box, we've got to transfer it from the wash box into the wash still. Now underneath that wash still, we've got a direct oil flame onto the base. We boil up the wash, and with the alcohol being the lighter of the liquids, we drive the alcohol up, out into the condenser, which is out the back. The condenser cools it down and returns it back to liquid form. And that liquid form is called low wines. Okay? Low wines. Right, come on over here. Form a wee semicircle around this here. I'll show you how this is done. This is how we get the spirit of the 3 whiskies that we produce. Okay, there it's there, look. See it there? The low wines. I'll lift that up. Now the low wines pours in there. Just like a cold water tap turned full on. It will pour in there all day. Because we must get low wines before we can do anything else. Now we've got 3 large wooden vats, one there, one in the centre here, and one over in the corner. Now the low wines pours in there and goes into this one in the centre. The still man who's in charge, he just stands here, he's just watching this, but at the end of the day, once he knows he has enough low wines in there, he decides to do a spirit run. So he transfers some of his low wines from in there into number 1 still, the middle one. He boils it up again. He drives the alcohol up, out, into the condenser. That cools it down again, but this time when it comes in there, into that pot. The difference is, when it's pouring in there as low wines, it's somewhere between 15 to 25% alcohol strength. All we've done is taken it from there to there brought it back in there, and we're now up in the 80s. When it comes back in for the second time, it's away up in the 80s. Now, for the first 3/4 of an hour to an hour, we don't want it. We just call that 4 shots or impure spirit. We don't want it. So we run that off into that large wooden vat there. Now, all the time, while he's running off that unwanted spirit, he'll come up here. And by turning any one of these, anyone, he can divert that spirit from there into any glass he wants in there. And he will take his readings and work out the exact strength of that spirit. Because it doesn't matter how high it comes in, it starts to fall in loose strength. And he'll keep testing it till he finds out that it's down to roughly 77. Once it gets to 77, all he does is that. And turns it into that middle pot. Now the minute he turns that into that middle pot, then it becomes spirit. And that goes into that one over in the corner. Okay? Now, all he'll do now is it just took us 3/4 of an hour to an hour to run off the spirit we didn't want. This will take up to 7 hours. Because this is the stuff that we do want. But it will keep falling. And he'll keep testing it till it falls down to 63. Once it gets to 63, he just turns it back in there and it becomes faints. And we don't want the faints either. The faints goes in there and mixes with the 4 shots and the impure spirit. And all that it's telling us is we don't want it above 77 and we don't want it below 63. All we want is the middle cut, the best spirit in the run. Okay, and all we do now, we just let the faints run down into there until it becomes 1% alcohol. Percentage of the low lines that's left in there into that tank above us, we can take a percentage of the faints from in there into that tank above us. We can mix the two and we'll send it back up again and bring it round and draw another middle cut. And that's how you get the spirit for Springbank Whisky. Because Hazelburn's a triple distillation, which is easy. Longrow's a double distillation, but Springbank's 2.5, which makes it a wee bit different. And that's how we get the half. Okay, a percentage from in there, a percentage from there, into there, give it a thing. Back up with it, and draw off another.
So you mix it again, there's the spirit that's already
in there.
No.
Okay?
Leftovers from the low wines.
The low wines and the fiends.
Yeah, but when you get after distillation, you want to mix with the
Aye.
of the first one.
That's right. And that gives us a 2.5 times distillation. Okay? And that's it's as simple as that, and that's how it's done. And once we've collected all the spirit over in there, we just transfer it next door for the next stage. Okay. There we are. This is where it ends up, in here. Okay.
I can't hear it.
Now, as you can see, now, if you have a look down here, go up there and have a wee look down there, and it'll give you an idea of the size of these places, you know, because they're big places. Now, everything that you're seeing in here, everything that you're seeing will not move for at least 10 years from whatever date is on the bottom of the cask. For at least 7 years before we buy. Over here, we've got sherry and bourbon. The bourbon we get from the United States. And there's been bourbon in them for a certain amount of time before we buy it. But not for as long as there has been sherry in there. That's why mostly when you see a bottle and it's very pale in colour, you can normally see bourbon. When it's got the nice colour about it and that, sherry. Okay. Because we're not the same as other distilleries. We do not caramelise and we do not chill filter. We do neither. Once that spirit goes in there, that is it until it's bottled. Okay? We do not touch it at all. Because all they're doing when they're caramelising is they're adding colour so that every bottle looks the same. And they're taking some of the essential oils out when they're chill filtering, so they shouldn't be touching that either. In there, and that is it. Now the way we do it, I'll try and explain this as easy as I can. Everybody, all the hand roll underneath these boards here. Okay? And everybody sees the small letter A on the left hand side. Okay? If the cask has the small letter A on it, that's telling us that that's the first time we've introduced spirit into that cask. So that is a first filled sherry bottle. They will lie there till we want to use them. We'll empty them, we'll refill them and bring them back. When they come back, look, we change to a B. No, they will lie until we want to use them. We'll empty them, refill them, and then bring them a C. 3 times, okay. And that's it. Half down the middle for whatever you want to use them for flowers, gardens, anything you want. That's it. 3 times. But the thing is, the E will always be the darkest. Because the spirit we put in is getting first go there inside of the wood. Yeah. The B's next, and the C's always the lighter. But the way we do it is, if we were going to do a bottling of, say, we'll just say 15-year-old whiskey in 6 months' time, we would come in here today. Now we know every cask in here that's 15 years old, whether it be A, B or C, that doesn't matter, as long as it's 15. We'll take a sample of each cask, we'll take the samples over there in that office where we will look at the colours. Now we will select the colours that we think will give us the nicest colour in 6 months' time, because we're going to vat them together to give us the colour and the taste that we think you will like. Okay? Other than adding anything to it. So as when we come back on that door in 6 months' time, we know exactly what casks we're going to vat together to give us the colour and the taste. We won't get it doesn't matter how many you take out. As long as it's 15, we will take a sample of it. Well, we look at the colours. So, last time, we go to do that. So, you're down to give us the colour that we want.
Whisky Mhath.